All right, welcome AI Evolution audiences from all over the world. I'm going to guess from Bangkok to Mumbai to Sao Paulo to Joburg to London to New York. Excited to be reaching such a global audience here on a topic that I think is going to resonate with everyone and impact everyone around the world as well. So my name is Joe Simonson with Accenture, and I'm beyond excited here to be joined by Swati Trehan today. So welcome, Swati.
Thank you. Hi, Joe.
Hi. And Swati is the head of strategy and operations at Ema. And Ema is a bold company here looking at the AI workforce. And we're going to talk about the hybrid team of managing a hybrid team between human and AI employees today. Mm-hmm. And again, Ema's doing some fascinating work in this area, and on their slogan of one employee, infinite roles. It's a bold statement backed up by great work and results that they're doing at companies like Hitachi and others. And whether it's their 10xing the productivity of employees out there, or many of the other missions that they're on, it's not an easy journey to take employees and match them with their AI or human employees and match them with their AI employees. It's a journey that a lot of companies are now starting to go on. And we want to dig into that today with this session on managing hybrid teams between the humans and AI employees. So we're going to break it down into a couple of main themes between laying the foundation, talking about how you manage the operations on that, and then about scaling it overall. So I'll get out of the way, and I want to first hand it over here to Swati to talk a little bit about where you got started and a little bit about your journey to get to this point and why you're so passionate about this AI and human employee hybrid workforce.
Thank you, Joe. Hello, everybody. Very excited to be here. As Joe said, I'm Swati. I lead operations strategy at Ema. Ema stands for Enterprise Machine Assistant. We are the makers of AI employees. We are a factory of AI employees, so to say. And we'll dig into that later. But my journey quickly, I've had a career in managing operations and strategy teams and building that in tech. Most recently at Shopify, where I led all of business operations, product operations, developer operations, and so on and so forth for the R&D group. Before that, Google worked across consumer products from the lens of product strategy and product operations. Also led product for local and holiday shopping experiences on Google.com. So have been a technologist for a long time, originally from India. So hello, everybody from dialing in from India or Delhi. That's where I was born and brought up. Moved around a bunch, moved from India to the US for business school, worked in Google on the West Coast, and then now I'm based in London for the last about 5 years. My passion I would say our combined passion, the founding team here at Ema is all ex-Google when we know each other from that time. Our combined passion comes from a shared problem statement or shared pain point that, hey, we've all built very large, successful teams in our careers, but we hire the smartest people in the world and make them do the most boring, mundane, tedious, repetitive work. There has to be a better way. Right? We've all been there. We've all just copy-pasted things from one app to the other or one document to the other and spent a lot of time manually doing things and not using our creative brains to actually push the strategy of a company forward or push the business of a company forward. And so that's our passion. We're united by that passion of saying, okay, now with this technology, now with AI agents, we can put these agents together in a workflow and think about how can we free up humans from doing that repetitive work. But then these AI employees take direction from humans. So think of every human having an intern of their own on day one, and that intern becomes their best team player within just a matter of few hours or days and not years. But then they can then think about how do I take this to the next level, right? While the clerical work is done by AI agents.
That's fantastic. And I'm looking forward to digging into this topic a lot more with you here. And need some, I think I need some of my own AI agents, helpers here and interns around Accenture as well. But to just towards the end of the show here today, I'm going to ask Swati a question around sort of what she thinks are the like key first steps around, or what she would change about her team's work tomorrow. So stick to the end to hear about that. But for the moment, let's dive into the first theme around really building that foundation for hybrid teams. And the first question I have is around, what prompted your transition from those traditional operation roles at companies like Google and Spotify to focusing specifically on this human AI hybrid teams, kind of building on what you touched on here already, sort of in the intro.
Yeah. So I think we, both Google and Shopify and my other companies have been amazing places, and I've learned a lot. I think one of the things that, especially at like a large company, you start seeing is too many processes, too many people doing those things, and it's always harder to transform. So one of the, of course, we want to solve that problem that I've mentioned about, but for ourselves as well, we wanted to build a company from day one that embraces this idea, this future of AI and human together, this idea of hybrid hybrid company. I know a lot of some people in the industry have said, oh, we'll see a day when it's one employee, $1 billion in revenue. I think we're far from that, but we are also kind of pushed by and inspired by, driven by that kind of ideology, that we don't want to be, hundreds and thousands of people, but we still want to have that much large business. And so from day one, it has been the case that we always push ourselves to think, if this new problem comes up, can AI or can technology solve it before I have to hire a human for it, right? And we've embraced that across different functions. I oversee HR as one of the areas as under operations, and we still don't have any HR ops people sitting and responding to employee queries. That is done by Ema. We have people who are actually thinking about the employee experience and recruiting the right people, interviewing the right people, and thinking about their right learning and development journey. But no one's sitting and just responding to questions or taking actions on employee behalf, right? So that was, I would say, that's the inspiration behind like this whole idea of let's build a company of the future to solve the problems that we already see need to be solved, and to help other enterprises, other large companies get there as well.
I love that you're using your own technology to enable your dream as well here with Ema. So that's fantastic. So if you're that small startup, one person looking to make $1 billion, or you're a big enterprise that is kind of on their journey already, we've dabbled in a lot of AI in various different ways already to date. But this idea of connecting kind of all the pieces and really starting to build this workflow, having these AI employees with you. So if you're a company leader, and we've got all ranges on this call, on this call here, that if it's your ambition to have these kind of human and AI employees working together and building hard, where's the place that you recommend that they really start?
Yeah, great question. One of the things that I always tell leaders who are thinking about this journey, this is a transformation, agentic transformation you're going to get on, right? So start with the problem, start with the use cases that have lots of manual steps. The bottleneck is the human. Like you have a lot of data, could be structured or unstructured. It's in different places, different applications. Now, the great thing with this technology is that you don't need to go through years of implementation work to bring everything in one place or clean everything and have standard operating procedures, etc. You can just start today itself, but start with the problem. Don't start with the technology. What I see with a lot of leaders is they'll start with, oh, I have this license of someone's AI additional tools that have been sold to me, will not name them. And so now where do I fit it, right? And that's the wrong way to think about it. Start with, okay, take an example. I'll give you Hitachi's example here. They started with, okay, my HR workflow, hire to retire. Let me look at my entire employee life cycle. Here are the big buckets where I am not able to serve my employees well. They are not happy. They are waiting for 2 weeks to get an employee verification letter. Their onboarding is delayed because someone has to press all of these different buttons. Their offboarding takes time, and we need a week to even just remove them from tools and stuff. So to identify those bottleneck steps, those bottleneck workflows, and then think about end to end. So start somewhere, but then what you are going on is a journey where you can now bring these AI employees throughout that life cycle of, in this example, an employee, but you can now think about it by function. It could be from in a sales setting, from almost like first call to contract, in a finance setting, from procurement to payment, and so on and so forth. Right? So start with the problem, then think end to end.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, there's so much. Starting with starting with that problem statement and working from there rather than the technology is so key, and a mistake we've seen many times. But I think when you think about, as you're starting to implement this and then lay the foundation for that as well, there's a question of like what is the optimal way to start to balance that out between your employees and now your AI employees as well. Is there an optimal ratio that you would go for, and do you see that across different business functions, or even across different industries? If you've got fintech or legal or HR, not healthcare, et cetera, do you see a kind of optimal ratio for that, or is it kind of a different game here?
I think it's always, I'm smiling because it's hard to say, okay, what's the optimal ratio of AI to human? I think it's less about that. It's more about you can do much more with less, right? You're unlocking your business growth. You're not limiting it by saying, I just need to linearly grow my workforce to grow my business. Right? That's the big unlock here. And so some functions or some workflows or some business processes might see a lot more AI than human because there's a lot of just repetitive steps. While others will now be, okay, these humans are freed up from this part, can actually focus a lot more on other parts of the business that need that creativity. I'll give you a couple of, there might be some distinctions we see by industry, so I'll come to that, but I'll give you a quick example of this first thing. Moneyview, one of our clients out of India, one of our very first customers, they started working with us even before we came out of stealth. So thank you to them to believe in this technology and very early stage startup. They are a large B2C lending organization, very fast growing, been growing like 50% year on year. They have huge seasonality problem because these people in India are taking out loans, like we are in Diwali time right now, to buy gold or to buy gifts. Mm-hmm. And so they'll take out loans in these festive times largely. And now as a business, how do you think about setting up your support team? You can't 3x your support team for a period of 3 days and then have to let them go and then hire again. So it's too much tax in the business, right? And so they now have Ema autonomously responding, resolving 80% of their 2 million a year tickets, right? It's huge volumes. While their support team, they actually then are using them to do cross-sell, upsell. So they can now sell new products, which requires that human creativity, which requires that thing of, okay, your thing is solved, you're a happy customer, let me help you get this new other thing that I have launched, which is the right thing for you, or this promotion, which is great for you. So now they're not just able to manage, of course, their costs, but more importantly, grow their business a lot faster with the same number of people or just slightly bigger workforce. On the industry side, I think some industries will see a lot more advent of AI faster because they just have missed out on the boat of any kind of automation, because the last era of for technology like RP, etc., didn't just work for them. These are industries where you have a lot of knowledge-based workers, so healthcare, insurance, etc., where there's a lot of unstructured data sitting in long PDFs. You need specialized knowledge to even understand what that data means and then apply that, right? And that's where we are seeing almost like a shortfall of talent. So we work with some of the largest PBMs, of pharmacy benefit management companies in the US, that do prior authorization on behalf of insurance providers, right? They are running out of pharmacists to hire. There are just literally no more pharmacists, that some of these companies have not seen cycle through them. And there are not that many pharmacists graduating every year to keep paced with demand. And the demand is increasing because FDA has also announced that you now have to have a better SLA. You can't make patients wait 2 weeks to get MRI prior auth. Like they need to get it like now. So those kinds of industries will definitely see a lot more AI very quickly, or agentic AI very quickly, because that's very ripe for that. That use case is very ripe for agents.
All right, very good. I have a lot more questions than but I want to move on a little bit to our next theme here as well, because I think if we're starting to layer down this foundation as well now, then we start to think about, okay, what are you going to do to manage that, the operations of all of this as well? And so the first one around it's a tough one around measuring the performance, and I know you've got some white papers out there on like multiple layers of the AI value and stuff like that too. So this idea of kind of measuring the performance between humans and AI employees, what they could be working on the same processes and outcomes, but I'm also thinking, is it some combination of the two that you're also really looking for in this area as well? So what do you, as you're looking at your management dashboard and things like that, then where are you looking, what are you looking for as you start to operationalize and manage this stuff?
Yeah. No, I think it's a great problem for like all of us that we're thinking about this right now, right? And any leader who's already deployed or is planning to deploy AI employees. So I think I'll probably break it into two. One is just how do you measure performance, and then two, how kind of almost like they learn from each other and improve performance of each other as peers. Right? So I think measurement of performance is there's like different layers. You can have tangible metrics, measurable metrics. Like some companies have OKRs for humans, very similar. You can have OKRs for AI employees. There are dashboards where you can measure for that business process or that workflow. Everything from the outcome might be co-owned, right? But you can have input and output metrics that are different. So say in a customer support situation, you have tickets that are fully resolved by the AI agents. How did they do? Time to resolve, CSAT score for that kind of resolution from the customer, while the second part could be around tickets that are assisted. So the human is resolving, the human had to be involved, but AI assisted. So again, you can look at those output metrics of time saved, resolution rate, CSAT, etc. Right. The second half of that is more about co-learning or improving each other. Right? And we've seen that happen with some of our customers. I'll give an example of Big Blue in Europe. They're very fast-growing logistics kind of orchestrator for brands. Actually, Shopify, lots of Shopify brands work with them. So I've heard of them through my previous job as well. They have used, again, Ema in more of a customer support setting first. But what has happened is first human experts give feedback to Ema to improve her performance on tone, on sentiment of a message or a email to the client, on accuracy, and so on and so forth, to train the model first. But then now that Ema has been like auto-resolving a lot of their tickets, they are using Ema's responses to train humans. This is how you respond to this kind of a situation. This is the language to use. These are the words to use. And so it's like taking screenshots and copy pasting Ema's responses in their knowledge base to tell humans and train humans. So I think like that's kind of like the flywheel effect you can get. You have AI improving your customer satisfaction, your time, etc., but then also improving your humans.
You can only imagine the productivity gains that can give you, as well as the innovation that can unlock and things like that as well, right? So very, very fascinating. I think there's a question here around that I have around, I'm not sure the best way to put it, but the kind of the interfaces between the AI employees and the human employees too. If you've seen anything that's proven to be quite effective, either around sort of workflow interfaces, or if there's a better way to kind of put that. Yeah. What have you seen has been effective in your experience?
Yeah, I think our belief strongly is that humans should stay where they are, and let's not make humans go to another system. Like that's the whole problem we are solving here, that there are too many software applications, too many interfaces that they have to go to. Let's not add another. So I would say the interface varies by use case. So, chat is something that everybody just talks about, that being the majority one. We actually are seeing a lot more where, say recruiting, the recruiter is in the ATS system where they manage candidates and resumes and communication, etc. Why make them leave that and go to a chat interface? It's not treated. Emma can be another peer in the ATS system and can just be triggered by whatever action you want to trigger her by, right? So a new resume came in, a new application came in, Emma can just be triggered by that and automate the workflow and then ping the human in their workflow itself, like, hey, human manager, I have done this job. Now it's your turn. You go talk to this employee, right? Or this candidate. So Emma can be where, or like agents can be wherever humans are, because that's another unlock of productivity. Let's not make them leave. So employees are in teams, you stay in teams. Emma is there with you. You are in recruiting system or ticketing system, Emma is there with you. You don't have to leave that system. It can also be through different applications. You're in Workday, you're doing your work from cost center management or position management, etc. in Workday. Again, you don't need to leave. Emma is there and can take actions in the back end for you, right? So I would say, I think like the interface depends on the use case, and that's our big belief, that let's not make humans leave the interface that they are used to and that is required for their work.
Love that. Yeah. Making the AI work like the humans do so they don't have the friction, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. I think this one kind of spans the next. Our next one's theme is really talking about scaling all of this that you've laid down. But I think between there too, there's the managers that are going to be managing across their humans and AI employees now as well. So I like this idea of are there big shifts in terms of how the managers kind of need to think about fundamentally managing now a hybrid workforce, and especially as you start to think about scaling it, I guess, like what's that transition look like for the management team?
Yeah, no, as a manager of both AI and humans myself, one of the things that started to think about is always, as your work is expanding, as your team is growing, do you need more humans in the team or do you need more AI in the team, right? For that particular part of the work. Always think of, like, now I think at least we push ourselves, and that's, we're kind of building that company of the future. So probably easier for us to do that than large organizations. But we ask ourselves, do I need technology or do I need another human? And then if I need another human, what skills do I need, right? So there's a lot of, now I think we've in the industry talked about skills being the key part in human resources for, I think, decades now. I think now is the time, I really believe, that's like can actually happen, because you can think about AI in terms of skills, you can think about humans in terms of skills. And then as a manager, you're optimizing for, do I have the right skills on my team? Doesn't matter, it's AI or human, right? And that's how you scale that team. As you think also about like managing AI, like there's, of course, we go into more from I won't say philosophical, but now it's becoming more
Let's
of
go
like
there.
a regulatory perspective and, ethical perspective probably is a better word, of how do you make sure that you can trust your AI employees they'll not hallucinate, they'll not make things up, they'll be accurate, they'll actually adhere to my instructions. But then also think about, okay, can my other human teams or even me as the manager abuse AI? Like, what's the labor laws for AI? What's the ethical dilemma there that we have to see how that plays out? And I know some of the governments around the world, especially Europe, is way ahead, also already thinking about that. One of our advisors for the company, Merit, she's leading the charge for US government to think about this problem as well, of how do you, responsible AI is not just about AI, but it's also about humans being responsible with AI. So that's, I think, like that we'll see that play out.
Yeah, I've seen some of the videos, where you're training a robot and they kind of kick it around and stuff, and they're like, is that going to come back to haunt us down the road or things?
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking about, okay, if I'm going to give a performance review to my AI employees, or my AI employees are going to be giving me a performance review down the line here.
Yeah.
It'd be
360 feedback.
very interesting times. Yeah, I know the feedback's going to come right away. That'll be interesting. Okay, so as we talk more about the scaling here, you guys have done some great work with Hitachi and close to my heart because I'm based in Japan here as well. But what's the so with that work that you've done in scaling, like what kind of ROI and sort of business impact should leaders realistically expect from doing these kind of implementations?
No, no. Yeah, so Hitachi, just to give everybody a little bit of context, their CHRO came to us with a very interesting problem. She said, I want to transform my HR shared services. If you don't know, probably you would know, Joe, they're very popular in Japan. They're a conglomerate of 600 companies. Every entities, it's different. Every entity has its own policies, own systems of records, etc. And they are trying to bring HR as one at a group level, one shared services. And so she said, I was told it will take 5 years, bring everybody to one system. It will cost me $50 million. And she's like, okay, there has to be a better way. So that's how we started working with her and her team. And again, what I was saying, the front, like they had actually mapped the hire to retire entire life cycle and said, okay, here are all my big, hairy business processes that are very manual. Let's start with employee experience, employee support, and then we keep expanding into recruiting, offboarding, etc. And with them, we implemented the first solution in 7 weeks. That's the pace you can get. That's the time to value you can get to 60,000 employees is the first tranche of first 4 portfolio companies going live. Within the first couple of months itself, they had 70% efficiency gains for their HR operations team, because now a lot of things that would have become support requests or support tickets are auto resolved, deflected. And so now HR can actually do HR work and be actually business partners to the business, not just respond to tickets. They are seeing employee happiness go up, employee well-being go up, because employees are not waiting 5 days to get a response on, is this included in my insurance or whatever, right? So they are seeing both impact on business from an efficiency point of view, but then also more employee productivity, employee well-being perspective. And now we are scaling with them to other use cases as well as other companies within the family.
Very good. And then as you do that scaling too, I mean, it can be, there definitely a lot of challenges come with it. You've got stuff that's really entrenched within the organization over time. There's this cultural transformation that also needs to happen as well, right? And so are there any kind of learnings or what around that cultural transformation is really key to getting that right?
Yeah. I think that's one of the harder parts, right? How do you think about the new operating model? And I think some things that Hitachi and others have done that help is involving the employees from day one in the execution. So they did a branding campaign, employees named what Emma will be called internally. They're calling her Sky internally. There was a big party, all hands. The logo was designed by the employees. So they just felt part of the deployment itself. And HR embraced it because they were like, okay, this is going to free our time and we'll do HR work actually. So they were involved in the rollout as well and the communications of it as well. So I think from the get-go, involving the employee base or whichever employee base is impacted by wherever the use case is. And then actively thinking about how would you now structure the organization, what kind of learning and development you would do for your human employees to both work with AI, but then also their work is going to change. And so this new work will require potentially new training, new skills, new operating procedures. And that's where I think Accenture and firms like yours become very important, because you have domain expertise that can help these large companies do this work.
Yeah, for sure. And I think around that area too, what you touched on earlier too, around the co-learning as well, you can create that flywheel that really makes it appealing for the employees to keep on learning and growing as this, because the evolution and the change is just going to keep coming faster, trying to get through it. So let me wrap up here. First of all, tell people where they can find out more about you, about Emma, and stay on top of all the great stuff you guys are doing.
Just go to emma.co, ema.co. That's our website, and follow us on LinkedIn. We post a lot on that.
Okay, very good. And that question we teased out at the beginning, but if you could redesign just one part of your team's work tomorrow, what would you change to help the humans and AI learn faster together?
Yeah, I think finance is my next place. HR, we've done a bunch of work in. Finance is what scares me. It's just like so much. And we also, like, even though a small company, we are in 4 countries now, presence. So doing accounting and books and stuff for 4 countries is becoming very hard to do. So that's
Yeah.
definitely an area where I'm looking in of changing things and seeing what workflows can be agentified.
Got it. All right. Well, next up for Emma is finance. Then you heard it here first. Thank you so much,
Thank
Swati,
you.
for joining us today, and a pleasure to talk through this with you. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the AI evolution to all of the viewers. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you.